Well, it's that time of the year again. The time of year that I like to resurrect my potted garden up on my deck. Many of you know I live up in the mountains and we don't get a whole lot of sun up here. And I've got one spot up on my deck that I get a fair amount of sun, but I have to kind of limit the type of vegetables I grow. So I call this my salad garden. What I did is I went to my other garden down the hill and I pulled out lots of lettuce starts. I had literally thousands of lettuce starts coming up in the pathways from when I shook out my seeds last year and harvested them all. So I dug up a few flats of lettuce and brought them up here in different sizes, some of them real small. But what I really wanted to talk about today is, because I'm doing all this in pots, it's important to recognize that pots dry out quickly. So I went and got a bunch of wood chips from one of my jobs. These are all redwood wood chips. And I'm starting to put in a good layer of chips over the top of the pots. And that's in anticipation of reducing the evaporation from the pots. I'll still have to water them every day. But what happens is the sun comes out and it gets so hot that when I do get home in the evening, sometimes these pots are just parched. So I like the idea of having a constant supply of food that I eat readily. So maybe I'm overdoing it with the lettuce. There's lettuce everywhere. But you know, you eat a lot of lettuce. We do anyway. I've got a big family. But I like to add some color to the garden. That makes the deck really pretty. And I've got a lot of bits of kale coming up. I planted onions and a lot of other slow growing things. I've got some beet seeds in here because I like the beets both for the leaves and the beets when they're ready to be harvested. And they grow fairly fast. I like radishes, and that's one of the fastest growing crops there are. But I hold off on planting things like tomatoes or squash, or no room for corn or anything like that. But any of the really aggressive plants, I don't have room for it, so I just don't plant them. Anyway, this is my potted vegetable garden. I went out and bought some chicken manure. Here we call it poo, and I redid all the pots. I dumped them all out in a wheelbarrow. Then I went to my compost bin and I added a lot of compost, and then I added not too much of the chicken manure because you don't want it to be too hot. And then I refilled all the pots before I planted them. If you try planting in last year's soil, it'll probably work, but you'll be disappointed. So it's not that much work. It's just dump the pots out and mix them up with some fresh compost. If you want to add some store-bought ready mixed soils, that's fine too. I make my own compost, and I don't think there's much better than what I make. So anyway, this is it. I hope you are inspired by my vegetable gardening efforts, and get digging, man. It's time.